We all go a little mad sometimes.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Look what you did to him.
Red rum, red rum, red rum.
Welcome back to Movie Mingle. I'm Caveman.
And I'm Maggie.
And we're on to the next Halloween bonus episode.
Spooky.
And we're doing It Follows today.
No, I guess that's not. It doesn't really have a theme I can hum into the microphone, does it?
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew.
This is one of my favorite horror films ever, which I know might be weird, but actually not to horror fans. This movie came out in 2014, directed by David Robert Mitchell. He's, hopefully for me, because I really like him, I hope he's an up-and-coming director. He's only done 3 movies. Before this, it was The Myth of the American Sleepover, which I haven't seen. Keep looking for it, and it's never streaming, and I'm one to just wait until I see it streaming instead of spending $3 or $4 to rent it.
To rent it. So you're not that big of a fan.
It has to do with every movie out there.
Yeah.
If it's not streaming, I wait. Unless
But you'll buy a movie, like a hard copy of a movie in a heartbeat.
it depends
Oh, true.
on
I
so many
guess if
things.
you-
I have no idea what an American Sleepover is as far as movie goes. Like, I've never heard anything about it.
Yeah.
Other than it's directed by David Robert Mitchell.
Okay.
Under the Silver Lake I have seen. That's an A24 film starring Andrew Garfield from 2018.
I haven't heard of either of those 2 movies.
It's an A24 film, and it was a very small indie film.
Okay.
Also, he does have another movie coming out soon. It has been since 2018, because Under the Silver Lake was his last movie. So 2025, looking forward to his new movie called Flowervale Street, starring Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that. He was also the writer of It Follows, and he also wrote all those movies, The Myth of American Sleepover and Under the Silver Lake. The music was from Disaster Piece, also known as Rich Vreeland. He did the music for Under the Silver Lake, Triple Frontier, which I know Maggie likes.
Oh, yeah, that was Oscar Isaac and Pedro Pascal and Ben Affleck.
A bunch of actors.
Oh, and not Charlie Hunnam, but the other guy. The guy from Tron.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
I can't remember his name
It
right
doesn't
in this
matter.
moment.
Nobody cares.
He also did the music for Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, also an A24 film, and another A24 film, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Did you see Marcel?
I did.
How was it?
It was cute.
Oh, I always wondered.
It was sweet and cute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could we have watched that instead?
Of
This.
It's not a horror film.
So?
Well, the idea was to watch horror movies. I also own the It Follows soundtrack as done by Disaster Piece on vinyl.
Of fucking course you do. You goddamn nerd. It's right there, isn't it? Somewhere in there. Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Did you put it under Disaster Piece or It Follows? I guess it's under artist name, isn't it?
It is under artist name.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of films that are under film title,
Yeah.
not composer, which could be confusing, but it's my choice and my collection, so it doesn't matter what alphabetical order I have it in, as long as I can find it later. Mike Gilakis was the cinematographer. He did a short film called Lancaster, California. It was essentially about a portrait of love in the California desert.
I mean, we are familiar with Lancaster, aren't we?
We sure are,
Yeah.
whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
He also worked on the 2 M. Night Shyamalan movies, Split and Glass, which I never saw each one. I saw Unbreakable, but I never got into the Split and Glass of it all.
I think the last M. Night Shyamalan movie I watched was Lady in the Water.
Really? That was the last one you've seen?
Yeah.
So you never saw like The Happening?
No.
Or
Devil or Triangle or Devil's
Devil
Triangle.
was produced by him.
Didn't see it. No, yeah, the last Woody
You're
Twist
lucky.
movie I saw was
You're lucky.
yeah, I didn't watch Avatar, I didn't watch After Earth.
I like M. Night to a point. There's some, I mean, of course he has good ones. He has one or two great ones. The rest are either good, and the majority are like, well, that
was something, wasn't it?
He tried.
I mean,
guess.
you watched his daughter's movie this morning.
I did this morning. I watched his daughter. I can't remember her name right now.
No, but the movie was called The Watchers.
The movie's called The Watchers. I enjoyed it. It was a fun horror film. Not really horror, but it was still kind of like one of those like creatures coming to knock on your door in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And they only come out at night. A24 had a better movie called It Comes at Night.
Yeah. Which was a remake of a Swedish film, I think, right? I might be wrong.
I'm terrible.
No, I am wrong. I was thinking about a vampire movie that had...
Oh. Yeah, Let the Right One In.
Yes, that's the one. I don't know. It was in the title.
It was in the title.
Yeah. Just like in this title. Bringing it back to It Follows.
It Follows. He also was also the cinematographer for Under the Silver Lake. Jordan Peele's Us. He did another M. Night Shyamalan movie called Old, an award-winning film called Reptile, which I have been wanting to watch, but just haven't had the time. But it came out in 2023 on Netflix, and it was with Benicio del Toro, Justin Timberlake, and Alicia Silverstone.
If you offered me money and were like, have Benicio del Toro, Justin Timberlake, and Alicia Silverstone been in a movie together, I would have been like, of course not.
Those three? Never.
Those three? Never.
And an award-winning movie as well.
Benicio del Toro, what are you doing? Oh, okay. All right. What's it about?
I haven't seen it. It's on Netflix. I've seen it. It popped up a bunch last year in 2023, and I just never got around to it. But it's one of those that's been on my watch list for a while.
It is possible that there is too much content out there.
Too much, way too much. I'm struggling just keeping up with the stuff that comes out theatrically.
Yeah,
and I don't know how to keep up as well with all the different streaming channels and all the movies they put out.
We were just talking about in our Joker 2 hot and dirty spoiler-filled bonus episode that nobody wants to see original stories these days, but they're still making them. It's just nobody is watching them. What is Reptile? And what do you mean award-winning? It didn't win Oscar. You know what? You don't have to look it up. This is not the Reptile podcast. Up until a few minutes ago, I never knew that those three were in a movie together. And now I'm quasi-curious, but will not watch it.
I can tell you.
Yeah. Nah, it's okay. We'll leave it up to the fan out there.
The one fan.
To figure out whether or not they want to search it up. Because I've got my computer in front of me. I could look it up. I just would have never said that Benicio del Toro and Justin Timberlake have even met in person. So... interesting.
I'll watch it sometime and let you know.
Yeah, you will. And you'll be like, remember that movie we were talking about? And I'll be like, no.
No?
No, I don't.
I remember Benicio del Toro and Justin Timberlake.
I'll be like, they were in a movie together? Oh, boy.
It Follows was certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 95% from critics.
Wow.
But only a 66 from audiences.
I understand that.
I'm sure you do. It was made for only $2 million.
Yeah. I can also understand that. I mean, I don't even think there's even a little CG in this movie.
No, there might be some like effects being used to
like the shell phone is clearly an effect,
things.
But
I mean the things floating in the air, TVs being picked up and thrown,
there was
hair being picked up, but not in the way like there's a CG like spaceship hovering over the distance. Like it's a pretty cotton camera film.
Yeah. Cotton camera? Caught on camera. Sorry, I heard cotton camera, and I was like, that is an expression I've never heard. Does that mean it's like soft camera focus? But
no, they do say caught in camera.
No, like but I heard cotton. Like
the camera lens caught it in.
Yes.
Yes.
But when you said that, I heard cotton.
This is a cotton camera.
Yeah. When I was like, what the fuck is that?
This here cotton camera.
It's real soft. It'll do wonders for your skin. Put it on with some lotion.
Dear Lord.
Skin will be nice.
It made $15 million domestic.
Good for them.
And it also made another $9 million internationally and $3.7 million in home media. It made enough to pay back the movie just in home media sales.
Yeah.
With a total, though, of $27.7 million.
You know what? Good for them. Horror movies are incredibly cheap to make.
They absolutely are.
They bring in the money.
That's the benefit of them. Make them cheap.
Yeah.
And then,
even a small film like this with nobody of note, an original story, a weird little premise, and you're gonna, you're gonna get your money back.
Cast a bunch of people that nobody really knows.
Who can act.
It won 25 awards. Some of them were from the Bram Stoker Awards. Some of them were from the Saturn Awards. But, and then most of them were from other various awards.
So is this the same way that Reptile is a quote-unquote award-winning film? Is that it won awards from random small little
Well, yeah, it didn't win an Oscar. It didn't win a Golden Globe or an Emmy or it didn't win the big five. When you talk about Cannes and TIFF and
South by Southwest, Sundance,
South by Southwest, yeah. Those two are important awards. Just because they're not getting the ones that are aired doesn't mean that they're any less significant. I wish I could go to the Toronto International Film Festival. I wish I could go to Cannes or South by Southwest or Sundance. I actually, earlier this year, I was looking at tickets for Sundance.
Of course you were. Do you think this little podcast is ever going to get us in or get us any sort of advanced screeners or be on the list for publicity lists or anything? Do you think we're ever going to get anything out of this silly little podcast?
It'd be nice. Could always hope.
Yeah.
If anything, I don't need this podcast to make me money.
No.
But if it got me to go watch a movie a little earlier.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Money would also be nice.
There's all these, critics and YouTube people and podcasts around the world. Eventually, it takes off. And
in other words, whoever's listening to this, tell a friend. Please.
Tell a friend.
Yeah.
And give us 5 stars.
Yes.
If you haven't given us 5 stars yet, now's the time. Because why not? Mm-hmm. All it is pressing a thing on your phone.
And it will make us happy.
Yeah.
And the happier we are, the less likely Caveman's going to yell at me for not liking a movie that he likes.
How dare you not fucking like this movie?
God,
it's one of the best.
It was a movie that I watched for 100 minutes.
Well, before we go any further,
Yeah.
I've got a shot of whiskey just sitting in this glass in front of me.
And we're going to need it for talking about this one. So, cheers, honey.
Yeah. And in case anybody's wondering the timeline of our watching.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Maybe a whiskey company will reach out to us and we can be like, we're...
Yeah, it's good promotion on whiskey.
Taking shots of... Oh, boy.
I just need somebody to pay for just, a $300 airplane ticket, a $500...
Hotel.
Sundance ticket, a $500 hotel, maybe a rental car. Okay, this is really expensive.
This is adding up, and that's just for you. I mean, what about me? I'm the other part of this podcast, sir.
Well, no. Double that from the other person that's listening.
They're going to be like, what movies do you want to see at Sundance? And I'll be like, is a Kevin Smith movie here? No, I'm good. I'm going to go sit in a chateau somewhere and drink hot chocolate.
See, maybe that's why I shouldn't bring you.
No, you absolutely should bring me. I want to meet Sebastian Stan one day. And I'm just going
to... He does go to these kind of film festivals.
And he is pretty. He's so pretty.
Oscar Isaac goes to these film festivals, too.
Oh, don't fucking tempt me with Oscar Isaac.
You can meet these people.
Oh, I could shake his hand.
You can meet filmmakers, screenwriters, actors.
Yeah, I would go.
A shit ton of producers.
I would go.
Critics.
It would be fun.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Just tell your friends about Movie Mingle.
So a super basic premise of this movie is...
This movie has a super basic premise.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Just like horror movies should be.
Yeah.
A woman is followed by an unknown supernatural force, and it follows her.
It's an STG. It's a sexually transmitted ghost.
It absolutely is. That's exactly what this movie's about. Yeah. It's turning STD into a horror film. Mm-hmm. It's basically our main character Jay has essentially a one-night stand.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, she's got It's a new relationship.
It's not a one-night stand because it's not the first time.
No.
You know, it's a new relationship, and she goes out on a couple dates, and eventually, you know, he's acting a little weird. He keeps acting like he's seeing something that's not there.
Yeah, he's a walking red flag based on his haircut alone.
Absolutely. I think I saw him in 8 Mile.
Yeah. He's got one of those really short, like, not quite buzz cuts, but real short haircuts. That's kind of a little too short for his giant head. He looked like a bully from your high school.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bleach hair look.
Yeah.
The shitty goatee.
Mm-hmm. Never trust a man with a goatee.
Don't.
Yeah.
But they start liking each other to the point where they have sex in the back of his car. An uncomfortable place, as Kevin Smith would put it. And he's essentially transferring the curse onto her for this supernatural being to start following her instead of following him. It can turn into anybody. It doesn't have to have touched them or known them before. However, there are some clues that many of these people that it takes the image of may have been abused or...
No, they all look like they have been in some way assaulted.
Sexually assaulted in the past. Even though it takes the form of some people that was never... Like, people that she knows, people that we've met who've never... You know, it's never talked about whether or not they were sexually assaulted at any time. So sometimes I think it's going to take...
It's going to take whatever form it can take to get closest to you.
To get closer to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a naked person walking towards you.
Yeah, there's a lot.
If I see a naked person slowly walking towards me, I'm out of there.
Well, yeah, but in general, like, it's not just because of this movie. If I was just, like, walking to work one day from the bus stop and I just saw somebody naked slowly lumbering towards me, I'd be like, and I'm out. I'm out.
Right back home.
Yeah.
Sorry, work.
Like, what am I closest to, home or work?
There was a naked guy, like, stalking me today. I'm going home.
I mean, I would take pictures if it were a dude, just so that I could show the cops. If it was a woman, I might offer to help, which would probably be how it got me, actually, because my good-natured soul would cause trouble.
And that's what it does. It tries to get you in a false sense of security, thinking that it's something else.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of my favorite things about this movie overall, and we'll just get into this. One of my favorite things this movie does is showing you with Jason or Freddy, you kind of know they're coming. They're big, lumbering guys with blades or hatchets.
Extremely detailed costumes and masks.
They're not hidden. They don't hide themselves. They hide themselves from their prey.
Yeah.
But on camera, you know they're there and you know they're about to strike.
Yeah.
With this movie, the way the camera just pans, and like especially the opening shot of seeing the girl running out of the house, being seemingly chased by something you don't see, her running away from it, and the camera just panning in the middle of the street, just does a complete 360 one shot, and watching her run back to inside her house to get the keys to the car and then leave. The idea of not knowing what's happening, why is this girl just running, neighbors asking if she's okay, her dad's wondering what's wrong, and just the unnerving feeling it gives you of just the camera just slowly panning while this girl is freaking out, and you have absolutely no idea there doesn't seem to be any danger.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The danger is so distant, but so it's going to get you. Like eventually this thing is going to get you. No matter how far you drive, fly, maybe they should have gone overseas. It would have taken longer to walk.
But that thing could get on an airplane.
Do you think it would go on an airplane or just walk into the ocean and walk under the seabed?
I think it could get on an airplane. I mean, I read on the trivia section of IMDb that the director himself doesn't discount the idea of the entity using an airplane.
Just using an airplane?
Yeah.
Or a bus or...
Yeah. I feel like boat would be your safest option. Because how's it going to get to you in the middle of the ocean unless you literally see it coming?
Yeah,
unless it is walking.
Swimming.
Well,
I don't think it can walk on water, but it can really swim.
But could it walk underwater or is it swimming?
And then it just like swims up.
Yeah, but then if you're constantly just circling
circumnavigating
the globe. Yeah,
over and over and over on a sailboat.
Also,
sure, there are ways to get away from this thing. But
another way to get rid of this.
I don't think Jay had a lot of these options.
Just saying, another way to get rid of it: orgy. It would be passed around like Skittles. I was during this last watch. I was wondering because of the guys on the boat. There were 3 guys on a boat. Yeah.
And we were wondering, did she have sex with all 3 of them?
Yeah.
Or just one of them in front of the other 2?
I don't think she had sex with any of them.
You don't think so?
No.
You think she thought about it?
I think she thought about it.
She was starting to swim towards them.
Yeah, but maybe she just went for a swim.
I always thought that she at least had sex with one of them, but it took out that person so fast it came right back for her.
Yeah, I feel like since we didn't see anything,
I was hoping the movie was just being but cutting all that unnecessary stuff out.
Think about her going onto a boat and being.
I mean, the boyfriend at the beginning even says, "This will be easy for you because you're a girl." Yeah.
Like, guys always, like, if a girl walked up to you, I mean, not you, because you're a married man, so I hope you would have some tentative
I'm pretty sure I have some restraint.
Yeah. But if a single girl walks up to a single guy and is like, want to have sex, I'm pretty sure the guy'd be like, okie dokie.
Especially at a bar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
But then you have to explain it to them, because if it catches you...
If you want to...
Yeah, it catches that person, so you gotta
you have to explain it, or else they're just it's like you said.
So going back to
I think
orgy.
Yes.
And then dipping out immediately.
I don't know the rules though. Is it the first person you have sex with, or does it go after all 3 of them? It has to kill like all 5, 6, 8.
So in other words, you're asking if somebody, if it follows you and then a bunch of people run a train on you, like, is it each person or is it just the one person? Is it to completion or is it just insertion? This podcast should not be listened to with children around, and I really hope that our children aren't paying attention. I didn't like this movie. And you want to know why?
Why is that?
Because it wasn't scary and it was boring as fuck.
I feel like all the movies I've been showing you, whether it's Midsommar, The Shining...
I liked Midsommar.
I know. But I'm showing you Midsommar, The Shining, It Follows.
Yeah.
I'm showing you more and more horror films that you're saying that you're...
fucking bored by.
Instead of being frightened by.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what your... Is it purely just ghost movies?
Maybe it's the
creepy ghosts.
Yeah, maybe it's creepy scares and jump scares and aliens. I don't like aliens. I'm not huge on monster movies, but I guess it depends on what kind of monster movie it is.
Insidious?
No.
Or, I mean, you were saying Paranormal Activity freaked you out.
Fucking terrified me. Yeah. You know what movies?
I'm starting to wonder. Like, I think our bonus episode at the end of October has got to be The Thing, because if you can handle It Follows and The Shining, you can handle the best horror film ever made.
But the end of October is my birthday and I don't want to watch it. My boss was telling me that The Thing is her favorite movie of all time. And that it's very suspenseful and that it's just an excellent film and she absolutely loved it. And I really want this woman to like me. And I don't want to hate her favorite movie. So no.
I think we got to watch
it.
I think it's going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
I think you're going to be more terrified of any other movie we might put in that slot.
First of all,
like Salem's Lot.
I don't like alien movies or parasite movies or monster movies.
But you like Slither, and Slither and The Thing are so similar.
Yeah, but Slither's funny and charming and 12 minutes long.
And The Thing is from the 80s.
Oh, I hate movies from the 80s, and you know this. I don't want to. I want to watch Abigail. Because Abigail looks like it's some dumb fun. That movie looks like, even when I saw the first trailer, I was like, I'd probably watch that. Because that looks like hilarious. And I do like a good vampire movie. We, Caveman and I were watching Dracula 2000 the other day, which is a terrible film.
Bad.
It's a terrible film. But I have a soft spot in my heart because of Gerald Butler and Jesse's obsession with Gerald Butler. She made me watch that movie. It's so bad, but I find it wildly entertaining. Another film that I absolutely love is John Carpenter's I think it's just called John Carpenter's Vampires. I don't know. It has James Woods in it, and that was back during I was in high school and was weirdly attracted to James Woods, which unfortunately he also would have been attracted to me because he's a creep. I was going through like a weird James Woods thing, and I really watched the fuck out of that movie, and I found it very like frightening and gory, but also kind of hot because I had weird things for James Woods, and I make no apologies for that. I do now, kind of, but not back then. Damn it. Yeah, that actually does sum it up. I didn't exactly have the best taste in men when I was a teenager, as
No, you didn't.
as evidenced by state evidence. Anyways,
Hey,
you're right. I have been mostly bored by these films.
so what was it? Just because of the long takes? Was it the characters weren't interesting?
Oh, the acting was terrible.
I don't think the acting was terrible. I think with a lot of indie films like this, especially indie horror, I mean, I've seen some terrible indie horror acting.
I don't know, man.
I wouldn't say like her friends were not like A+ actors.
The worst of it was whoever played Paul. Paul was kind of Gilchrist, Gilchrist. Like, I don't know. I was just.
I mean, but at the same time, they weren't terrible.
You know what it was? No, you're right. The acting wasn't terrible. It was just long, lingering shots where you're expecting something to happen and then nothing happens.
And that's what I love.
I
love the tension.
That's not tension to me.
It is like when
not to me.
Especially when the camera is panning, and you see somebody slowly walking towards the camera. But then the camera just keeps panning, and now you can't see the person who's slowly getting close to your main character, knowing that once contact is made, it could be the end of her. And maybe it's because it's all just people lumbering forward slowly. When you're like at a 180 from the villain, and now they're walking behind you where the camera's positioned.
Yeah.
And the character is like right there, and she's not running because she doesn't see.
I mean, yeah, okay. I will say the most thrilling part of this movie is when they're on the lake, and her friend, that is clearly not her friend, is walking towards her. And like shit, actually, that's the part that I was excited by, right? Well, it was right there. It was being different people. It was looking through the hole in the wall. That was at least exciting.
When they went to Hugh's old high school.
Yeah.
And the character was you just see this person walking, or the other time when she leaves her classroom because this thing is coming towards her, and she goes into the hallway, and there's those two girls just talking to each other, and they don't see this person that just walked in between them.
No, I guess that was entertaining.
And you know that your main character doesn't quite believe all this quite yet.
Why is it so important to you that I like these movies?
It's not important. I don't have to. I know we've been married long enough, and I've known you long enough that I'm not trying to make you.
You kind of are. You're insistent upon me liking these things that I don't like for any reason. And then if I come up with a reason that I don't like it, you question it and say you don't understand why I don't like it.
I have to defend a movie I like.
And that's fine that you like it, but why do I have to defend why I don't like it?
You don't.
Why do people have to defend when they dislike something?
That's how you have discourse. And
I don't like chocolate and peanut butter.
I'm not trying to.
Let me tell a story.
Okay.
I don't like chocolate and peanut butter together. I think it's too much. I think it's too coyingly rich in my mouth. I don't really like the flavors together. Will I eat a peanut M&M? Abso-fucking-lutely. Peanut M&Ms slap. I don't like peanut butter and chocolate together. It's a texture thing. I think they're both too creamy together, and they're too thick together, and it coats the whole inside of your mouth, and you can't get rid of the flavor. I have a peanut butter cup maybe once a year, at most once a year, right? And it's just not my cup of tea. But when I tell people that, they jump down my throat like I'm the fucking Antichrist. I didn't watch Stranger Things. I've watched a handful of episodes, but I do not care for Stranger Things because I don't like 80s nostalgia. I was born in the 80s, but 90s nostalgia is my cup of tea. 80s nostalgia is before my time, because 80s nostalgia is about teenagers in the 80s being, young adults in the 80s. And that's not my time. So I told people I never watched Stranger Things, and they yelled at me. I've been yelled at.
I wouldn't yell
for
at
my
you about
opinions about things. And it's exhaustingly annoying, because it's like, not every person likes everything. And I don't yell at people when they're like, well, I don't like Star Wars. I'm like, good for you. The fandom's toxic. Like, stay away from it. But I like it.
Yeah.
People are so angry when you don't like something that they like, because they take it as a personal affront. I don't like horror movies. I found this one boring. I did. There were moments where I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't want to drag it down, right? Caveman and I were having a conversation the other day about how I need to do less tearing down of a film and more of just focusing on what I liked. Cinematography was fine. It was good. Cinematography was good. I knew it was filmed in Michigan before they even said that it was filmed in Michigan, because I was like, I don't know, those lakes, Michigan. It just felt like it was right to me. The fact that it was partially filmed in Detroit makes sense, right? Because no other part of this country looks like Detroit. I really want that fucking shell reader thing that exists only in that movie, and it makes me angry that nobody has thought, although the screen is too small and it is a wildly impractical shape, but there's a certain hobgoblin part of my brain that sees that little shell reader and is like, Polly Pocket, and I want it. And I liked making fun of the main character's costumes because she had a poor taste in clothes. That's all I've got. The woman,
That's all you got.
The woman loves a matching bra and panty set, which is perfectly fine and good for her. But nobody should wear a double puka shell necklace with a dress and long boots to a date. That was a choice. It was the wrong choice.
Maika Monroe, I really like her in this movie.
She was,
who plays Jay.
Yeah, she was cute. She was fine. She has a career ahead of her as a scream queen, and good for her.
I don't know pretty much anything that she's been in before this movie.
Yeah.
Afterwards, though, she was Patricia Whitmore in Independence Day Resurgence,
which I did not see.
It's
but
terrible.
I'm pretty sure it was because you were like, do not see this movie.
Yeah, I told you, don't watch it. But Patricia Whitmore is the daughter of the president. But she was also in Honey Boy, which is a really good movie. If people
Honey Boy was the
Honey
one
Boy
with,
from Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, that's it. The beef.
A movie that
Actual
he wrote
human
about.
cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Now that is a horror movie I could get behind. Is if they just turned that entire musical into an actual film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insert Shia LaBeouf.
But yeah,
song
Honey
there.
Boy, for those that don't know, it's essentially Shia LaBeouf's life. His young actor's stormy childhood and early adult years as he struggles to reconcile with his father and deal with his mental health. A movie that he wrote about his own life and dramatized into this movie called Honey Boy. It's fantastic. People should watch it. It's the best thing that Shia LaBeouf has ever done, between that and Peanut Butter Falcon. I've
heard good things about Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yes. Peanut Butter Falcon and Honey Boy are Shia LaBeouf's top things that he, as an actor, writer, has ever done. And lastly, Maika Monroe, a movie that she recently came out with this year was Longlegs.
Yes.
Which her character in It Follows compared to her character in Longlegs, completely different, and I really loved seeing her play something completely different like that. Her character in Longlegs has very much been compared to Silence of the Lambs' Clarice.
We have to watch that later on, right?
We do.
That's a horror movie I like.
That is.
Is that a horror movie?
It is considered a horror movie.
When we get to it, I will talk at length about
horror.
How much I love Hannibal, the sequel to Silence of the Lambs. I'm going to retract my statements where I was like, well, I don't think the acting was that good. I didn't think the acting was that good, but I will give it to all these actors who have all smaller IMDb profiles, with the exception of Maika Monroe. They did the best, and I'm not an actor, so it's not like they're I don't know. This movie is okay. I love that you love it. And I'm glad that you love it. I really am. I'm glad that you have things that you love that are outside of me. I feel like if I were to make you sit down and try to get you as obsessed as I am with like the Great Pottery Throwdown, it wouldn't work, right? But I just recently made you sit down and watch all of New Girl, which you had never seen from beginning to end.
Absolutely loved every part
and you
of
loved
that.
it. And
Yeah.
every time you
every
laughed...
season other than the last.
The last one's okay.
It's okay. It's a fine 8 episodes, but
Yeah.
if they just ended it in the last season, I think it would have been just perfect.
Yeah.
Like a really, everything was just
I don't
good
know. I
enough.
think that the last 2 episodes where they can just get married. And
I mean, it's always fun to see will they, won't they, or what happens in the
afterwards.
far future.
Ruth
and
is one of the greatest characters ever.
Spoilers: the amount of kids these people have at the end is
Ridiculous.
really ridiculous, but also
Winston and
super
Allie
cute
have
and
like
charming.
at least 4 boys,
At least.
which cracks me up. But like
it's adorable.
Every time you laughed at that, it made me happy. Just today, we're getting into our next sitcom because we go from sitcom to sitcom as easy viewing while eating dinner or finding a half hour before bed or whatever. It's the easiest kind of stuff to watch.
Yeah.
If I put on something that's an hour long, Caveman's asleep in about 4 seconds because he's a tired man who works very hard. And
early hours.
Yeah, and that's okay. But like, so I just put on the first 2 episodes of the original UK version of Ghosts, which is, to me, a perfect sitcom. I have only seen the first 3 series. The last 2 never got to the States.
I'm excited to watch the last 2 with you.
I am too.
Because
we haven't
it'll
seen
be fun
it. Yeah.
to watch something like that with you that you've never seen.
But watching you watch the pilot episode and the second episode, which are filmed very much like horror movies. The rest are not. The rest are kind of filmed more a bit like sitcoms. But the first 2 episodes are very much filmed like a horror movie or genre. Yeah. There's jump scares. There's pans that show, ghosts coming out of nowhere. It's a lot of like...
being in dark, turning on the lights, and there's a bunch of ghosts
people
standing
there.
around them.
Every time you giggled at that series, my soul felt joy. Because this is something that I love and I want to share it with you. I am sorry that I don't love this movie the way that you love it. And that my reaction is sort of this visceral, like, I don't wanna. I'm sorry, because I realize that sharing art with another person is a very personal thing. It's like we've all tried to share a song with somebody and have them just go, well, that was fine. And I'm like, but you don't understand the obsession I have with Sushi Glory Hole and how amazing it is. Listen to it again. And they just don't get how good Sushi Glory Hole is. Sometimes I feel like you push it a little too hard. And I feel like with this one, maybe you were trying a little bit too hard to get me into an art house, independent, uniquely creative, and slightly bonkers movie that I wasn't going to like in the first place because it's a genre I don't enjoy. Like, maybe if you would have been like, let's sit down and watch something a little more mainstream and a little more cookie cutter and not something that was so out there art nouveau such as It Follows.
Yeah, I guess because of the other stuff I've seen, this is pretty tame.
Yeah.
Which is why I was like, this should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I'm not going to show you. There are movies that I know.
You made me watch Bone Tomahawk, and I will never forgive you for that.
I had never seen it before, so I had no idea what was going to happen.
Still never forgive you for making me sit down and watch Bone Tomahawk.
I was shocked by what I was watching.
That fucking movie haunts me to this day.
I thought it was just going to be a Western adventure movie.
I think we all thought it was going to be a Western. And God, we watched that. So, was that pre-kids? Or were the kids very young?
Young and maybe asleep. And
yeah, because I
think
remember
they were young enough that they weren't like, it was before they started getting into TV, video games and cell phones.
Because like I still will never forgive you for, because when it got to the part of Bone Tomahawk where it's a fucking cannibalistic horror movie, and I was like, time to turn it off. You're like, no, we're gonna follow the film.
Here we go. We're in it now.
We're in it to win it. And I was like, fuck you. I I don't know, maybe the fault lies in I wasn't, you know what horror I enjoy, which is horror comedy. And then you tried to give me horror intellectualism, meta thoughts on sexual assault, sexually transmitted diseases, and abject quiet terror when you should have stuck with, here's a movie about monsters that live in the forest, but they're kind of funny. You might like that. Admittedly, I came in for the last half an hour of The Watchers today while you were watching it. And even though I had my headphones on and I was playing a game on my phone, I kept looking at the screen going, I wonder what's happening. I'm kind of intrigued.
It was actually a pretty intriguing movie. It was... And
now that I know how it ends, I might want to watch it from the beginning.
Because there really aren't... It's not a gross movie.
Yeah.
There's no blood and guts.
Yeah. It's more...
There's a few moments of, like, birds flying overhead that kind of make you startle a little bit, but... There's, like, the creatures themselves aren't that scary, but the twist at the end is so good.
What a twist.
Following in her dad's footsteps, you know.
Don't spoil everything about the end. I only got a little bit about what happens at the end.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying there's a twist.
What a twist. Well, of course it is. It's it's a Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, it runs in the family. It's in the family.
Yeah. What a twist.
And earlier this year I had watched his Trap movie.
Yes.
And I was trying to decide which one I liked more, and I honestly can't. They both have... like really kind of like generic horror films in one way, and then at another way, they did a good job of being like, oh, I didn't know that we were going this way, and I'm kind of intrigued and enjoying the way that it chose to go.
You know what horror movie I love, like dearly, is The Others. The Others is you've talked about that before. Fucking movie, and there was a time in the late '90s, early 2000s where I came from a family of movie lovers. Both my parents fucking love movies and took us to the movies a lot. A lot. Going to the movies was a big part of growing up. I have seen hundreds of films in theaters because my parents were like, I want to go see this. Or I've seen hundreds of movies that my parents were like, we're going to watch this. We don't care that you're in the room, so either watch it with us or get out. Which is why, I saw Red Heat at a way too young of an age. We got a quarter of the way into 7 and my mom was like, get out of this fucking living room right now. Go to your bedrooms. You guys cannot watch this movie with us.
Definitely one I'm going to be so interested to know what you think about it.
I'm so afraid of it.
Don't be afraid.
I'm so afraid of it.
It's not a scary movie.
But I know it's not a scary movie. I know it's just a psychologically fucked movie, and it's also a Kevin Spacey movie, which, and I know how it ends.
He's a bad guy.
But that's the other thing too, is I know how it ends, so it's going to be interesting to watch this film again. But my point is, after my parents separated and I was in high school, towards the end of their relationship and into middle and high school, my mom and I fell in love with Nicole Kidman. Right? You've seen Practical Magic, and if you haven't, go fucking watch Practical Magic. My mom and I love
the last time I've even seen it.
Nicole Kidman. We went and saw Moulin Rouge together. We went and saw Practical Magic together. We went and saw Australia together, and that movie is, I don't even remember half the plot of it. I just remember being boring as fuck, and I adore Baz Luhrmann, but youch. Anyways.
You should watch the extended cut on
I do not want
Netflix,
to think. If Baz Luhrmann released an extended cut of Romeo and Juliet or Moulin Rouge, I would be all over that fucking shit, because Romeo and Juliet and Moulin Rouge are two of my favorite movies of all time. If it was
announced tomorrow that he was coming out with one of those.
Yeah, if he was like, by the way, I'm dropping an extra hour and a half of Moulin Rouge, I would be all over shit.
I would tell you, don't watch it without me.
Oh, and I wouldn't.
Because those two movies are his best.
Yes, they are.
And so if he came out with an extended version, I'd want to see it.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet is a flawless film from beginning to end. I like Australia. I will die on that hill.
I like Australia, but I only got through the first out of the 4 episodes.
No, it was a slog just sitting in the movie theater.
It's a long...
that movie is 3 different movies wrapped. It's a war movie, it's a romance movie.
And that's the theatrical version.
Yeah.
The extended version is even more. And the stuff that I've seen that's more, you can understand why they cut it out.
Yeah. But anyways.
Great Gatsby is also...
Going back to the first tangent that I was on. I love how our tangents are like trees. They branch off into a beautiful foliage of nonsense. My mom took me to see The Others. And we went into the others thinking, like, this is just your basic, you know, ghost story. But it turns it on its head, right? Because spoilers for this 20-year-old movie, you know, the ghosts, Nicole Kidman and her children are the ghosts. And the ghosts that they think are just the people living in their house. That shit blew my mind in the theater. And I was titillated and terrified, and I loved it. Like, that's the kind of horror that I enjoyed, right? And then I got out of horror because it turned into, like, the Saw of it all, right? And then it turned into body horror and blood gore and fucking torture porn and all of that stuff. And that's when I took a huge step back and was like, nah, brah, I'm out. And then it's jump scares and other things. But I love a good story if it's a little spooky. I love a good ghost story. And The Others is a good ghost story. It Follows is a good ghost story around a campfire, you know, like, oh, well, my sister's friend had sex with a boy, and then a spooky demon started following her until she passed it on to somebody else. If you want to get back at somebody for whatever reason, you're just like, oh, don't have sex with her because she's cursed with this. It's a good sleepover horror story, right? It's a good, you're up all night.
Have you heard about Becky?
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's 4 teenage girls in a living room over a Ouija board, never smart, by the way, talking about, like, oh my God, did you hear about Becky's cousin? Like, she got murdered by a spooky creature because she had sex. And then that's kind of the other thing, too, is I don't like horror stories where it's like, oh, you're the virgin and you had sex, so now you have to die. That sort of weird moral, I know, but it's still that weird moral, you know, religious aspect of, like, women aren't allowed to have sex and enjoy themselves sexually, otherwise they'll die. Like, I don't know. Thank you for sharing this movie with me. I'm sorry I didn't like it.
It's okay.
But there are things that I liked about it. I want that fucking shell phone. I want it. I want it. It's impractical. It's way too small. My eyeballs would hurt. I need it.
I love sharing my likes with you.
I know, and I like sharing my likes with you, but I feel like most of the time you share your likes with me and I shoot them down.
It's true.
Slap them right across the face. So but that's not entirely true. There are things that you've shown me that I like. I didn't think I'd like Dune. Fuck, do I love Dune?
Dune's good. Dune's really good.
I guess, you know.
Now if I can just get you to watch the other ones.
Ugh. There's just not enough time in my day. I'm a tired woman with mental illness. What do you want me to do?
The writer-director David Robert Mitchell conceived the idea of this film by a reoccurring dream he was having about being followed. He was told it was based off of, like, anxiety.
Yeah.
And whatever he was going through at the time, which just happened to be when his parents were divorced, he had this reoccurring dream of somebody constantly following him. And then it wasn't until much later that he came off the curse being transmitted sexually.
Yeah. So when I announced to my coworkers, because I keep them abreast with this wonderful, silly little podcast of ours, that you and I needed to record this movie, I got back from women, by the way, because I work mostly with women. I got back one of my, coworkers and friends who's a young 18-year-old woman who was like, that movie terrifies me because I hate the idea of being followed. And I was like, all right, respect. I totally get that, right? Especially as a woman, you're always kind of anywhere that you are walking, anywhere at all times, you're very aware of what's going on without you. I was walking to the bus stop the other day, and a truck pulled up behind me and stopped right behind me, and I whipped around ready to fucking fight for my life, and it was just some dude picking up his coworker from the front of his house. But that adrenaline spike got me to work. So I get that side of it, right? Like, my coworker is like, I don't like it because I don't like being followed by things, so it scares me. And then my boss, who's a big horror fan, was like, I hated that movie. I found it very boring. I was like, oh my God, me too. So I think that this is also one of those films that plays into certain types of insecurities. Hey, Robin. And fears that people have. I will not watch a movie about spiders. If you really wanted to fucking terrify me, Don't you make that face.
Can we watch Arachnophobia?
No.
Have you ever seen Arachnophobia?
I have.
Okay.
Because my fucking parents watched it while I was in the room with them.
I love Arachnophobia.
So I have a very vivid memory of John Goodman, sort of putzing around a house as the exterminator and getting killed by all these spiders.
And that's just the beginning of the film.
Cannot do it.
Oh,
I also am not
good.
a big fan of the desert sandworms. Tremors.
Oh, you don't like Tremors?
Tremors scared me as a kid.
Tremors is so much
Tremors
fun.
scared me as a
Talk
kid.
about Slither comedy horror.
I know.
It's so much fun.
I would rewatch Tremors.
Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Oh
and
my
Reba
God.
McEntire, right?
I don't remember.
I think it's Reba.
It's been long
Reba.
enough that I only remember Kevin Bacon and the other guy.
Yeah.
I know what the other guy looks like. I just can't remember what his name is.
I swear to God, Reba's in that movie.
It might be.
I would watch Tremors with you in a heartbeat. Because, it's kind of a comedy horror movie, but it scared the shit out of me as a kid. But, I'm not going to watch a movie about spiders. I'm definitely not going to watch a movie about anything that has to do with sexual assault or anything like that. I don't like religious I know you're super excited for Heretic.
Heretic looks so
and
good.
I really look forward to you telling me what it's about.
I hope it's good. It looks so good.
I don't know. We've been deceived by trailers before, The Joker.
Sometimes trailers just... people make good trailers.
It's about goddamn time somebody put Hugh Grant into a horror movie because he is deceptively terrifying. Especially in his older years.
Reba McEntire was indeed in Tremors.
I'm Reba.
And then the other guy I was thinking of was Fred Ward.
Yeah. I would rewatch Tremors with you. Not even for this podcast.
But just for fun?
Yeah.
Tremors, it's so much... so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
So stupid.
But it was something that stuck with me as a kid when I saw it that... For a very long time into my adulthood, I would be cautious about how I was walking in case the tremors were coming for me.
It's like the way Slither, what makes Slither really fun, it's mainly because of
Nathan Fillion. Elizabeth Banks, yeah.
Yeah, they make it fun. I think Tremors is fun because of Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward.
And
Fred
Reba.
Ward's a lot of it. And Reba. I am Reba.
I'm Reba.
So what would you give?
Do you want to get into it
I think
this
we
early?
should.
Okay, that's fair. This could be a short bonus episode.
I mean, we could talk about there's things to talk about.
I did see on Wikipedia that there are plans to make a sequel called They Follows.
I knew of that as well. When I looked up what the director has coming up in the future, it was no longer. It used to be on IMDb. It is no longer.
Yeah.
I think it is perfectly fine as a single film.
Some movies don't need sequels.
If they make They Follow, I'm obviously going to watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. There's no reason to make it.
When did this movie come out?
2014.
2014. So the movie's supposed to. It said on Wikipedia that They Follows is supposed to come out or start filming in 2025. Probably wouldn't come out until 2026. Is it believable that this thing has been following this woman for 12 years?
See, no.
I will say too, I appreciated that the director described the kind of atmosphere of this movie as a nightmare, right? It has no discernible time period. There are modern cars, there are older cars, the clothing's all over the place. There's very little technology and almost no technology that is modern. And as a person that suffers from extreme nightmares, I did appreciate that to an extent, the look of this. I thought that the production design of this movie was good. Cinematography was pretty good. The acting was fine. I didn't like the story. So if you're asking me what I'm rating it, I'd give it a 2.5. I would. I was bored by it, and I can't say much else beyond that. It wasn't my cup of tea. I would have preferred a bad cup of tea to watching this movie.
Jeez.
But that broke him. That broke him, folks.
Man.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you for sharing with me something that you love. I'm really sorry I didn't like it.
I also love movies like Beau's Afraid.
Yeah, which I'll never watch.
You should never watch it.
Yeah.
You would give it half a star.
I would. I really don't like Joaquin Phoenix.
And it's not even the Joaquin Phoenix of it all. It's just not a movie that you would enjoy. I would give It Follows 4 stars.
Okay.
I love the production design, the cinematography, the music. I appreciate the acting for the movie, the $2 million movie that it is.
Mm-hmm. You like the originality of it too.
It's an original idea. It's an original. I appreciate that there are no like jump scares in the way where music is used to scare you because it all of a sudden gets really loud. The moment where the guy, where somebody's pounding on the door and you don't know if it's the ghost, or her friends, and she opens it and the friend walks through,
and then there's this giant man
who just ducks under and just starts coming through.
Yeah.
The incident at the beach inside the beach house.
I did enjoy that entire sequence. That was probably my favorite part of the movie. It was everything that took place at the lake. That kind of stuff. It is an original idea for a horror movie of what kind of entity is coming for you. Like, you might have just taken me too far too fast with this one. Like, you should have built up to this. And maybe if I had a more appreciation of small avant-garde indie films and horror movies, I might have liked it more.
You can watch Talk to Me. That'll really get you going.
Good for you for enjoying It Follows. And I hope that the people that are out there that have seen this movie and liked it, I'm glad you liked it.
And if you haven't, give it a shot. If you end up not liking it...
It's 100 minutes. It's really not the worst
thing you could
do with your
horror
time.
Movies should remain short.
Yeah.
And short and sweet. Like,
looking at you, The Shining.
Short, sweet, and cheap. That's the way horror movies should always be.
Yeah, I agree with that. Unless it's the others.
Fuck,
I love the others.
Then, I say that, and then I can make excuses for movies that cost much more that were just iconic and great. So, Maggie.
Yes, Caveman.
I have 2 questions for you.
Hit it.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Oldie but a goodie.
It's a classic.
So, question number 1. Would the presence of Oscar Isaac have made It Follows a better movie?
No. I don't think so. I don't think it would have changed much for me. And I think that's because it's the only way I can answer it is in question 2. So go ahead and hit me with question 2.
So question number 2, which character would Oscar Isaac have played
I don't think
It Follows?
He could have played any character, right? Like, the movie takes place, it's all young adults. It's all early, late teens, early 20-somethings, right? I guess if the movie had been made when he was of that age, then sure, he could have been one of the dudes hanging out with Jay. But like, I don't want to see him as one of the its following along, because that would have been weird and really out of place to just put, the world's most beautiful man lumbering down the street slowly towards, a random, teenager. That would have felt weird. I don't...
I had just one thought.
What's your thought, babe?
What about it would just be just a really quick cameo, but it would be the dad at the very, very beginning of the movie who's just like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And that's it. Like,
that's literally the only role he could have played. And I would have been like, was that Oscar? Let's go back to... Who gave him all this money to do one line?
What was the point of that?
What was the point of that? So no, I don't, this is one of those rare cases where I couldn't picture him in this movie whatsoever. And if I wanted to see him hang dong, which there's a lot of hanging dong in this movie, a lot of nudity, I can just go watch that divorce drama that he made with the redhead Jessica Chastain, which I just have saved pictures of. So I wish you folks could see the way that Caveman rolls his eyes every time I talk about Oscar Isaac. That has been this week's bonus episode of Movie Mingle on It Follows. We hope you enjoyed it a little bit more than we enjoyed making it for you, because at the very least, Caveman enjoyed it, and I was just here along for the ride. As ever, you can follow us on Instagram and Threads and Letterboxd at MovieMinglePod. You can find us on YouTube, that's the word I was thinking of, at movieminglepod@gmail.com, and email us your thoughts and comments at movieminglepod@gmail.com, in which we get the occasional fan letter, and it always makes me really, really happy. But please send more, because it's great. Coming up next, we will be talking about the Disney Pixar classic Up, which is decidedly not a spooky movie. And we still have at least one more Halloween spooky bonus episode to drop for you, although we don't, as of yet, know what that's going to be. So it'll be an adventure for all of us. Until then, please take care of yourselves, my friends. Go out, use protection, and go mingle. Bye.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
That the power of Christ compels you!
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
They're here.
Here's Johnny!